Well, hello there. This is my first time going live. I have no idea what I'm doing. I know no one's going to be joining me, but I am inspired to just do it by two people. My friend Lorana Hughes, I just watched a replay of her live from earlier today, and she is the queen of, talking about her raggedy podcast, just getting it done, getting the information out, getting out the messages that you believe are relevant to your experience and to try to reach people. And my other inspiration is Stephanie Perry, of course, who makes her lives look so effortless and easy every single weekend. Well, hello, my name is Danielle Brooks, and this is Refreshing Words with Danielle Brooks. On my channel, I am just sharing what I call my midlife musings. I am a 55-year-old Black American woman who has decided to take a career break. I am coming up on, 2 months since I've been a full time employee. I am currently living in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. And I have a bit of travel coming up, but I chose to have a home base here while I was on my sabbatical. I like my creature comforts and having a place to come back to. And so I was so very fortunate to work with an amazing realtor here to find this beautiful loft apartment. And so it's like my little cocoon while I am on my sabbatical. And so I have been really good about getting in a rhythm on YouTube as I was getting started on my sabbatical. And then, when you know it, just like life, things happened. I was a little sick for a couple of weeks, just getting acclimated to, I think, food, being in a different region, slowing down. My body didn't know what to do. And so I was out of commission for a couple of weeks, and so grateful for the care that I received both from the community that I was connected with. Shout out to Michelle Wedderburn at Hacienda Elm, that wonderful community of women there that took care of me, as well as the on site medical providers that came and just, I was feeling real good in a few days after having been down. And then, as I mentioned, then it was just the process of getting into my new apartment. I had an issue with my laptop when I first came, so I was back and forth to the Apple store and just doing things in a new country in a language that I do not know how to speak beyond greetings. So everything is a bit of an adventure in this kind of environment, but it's exactly what I signed up for. And so I guess maybe the last week and a half have really been time that I have settled into my space. Before that, I had a very good friend and her family that were visiting the area, and we were just out in the street every night almost. I was outside, baby. I was outside, which is not normal for me. And so I feel like I had to put myself on time out just to recover from all the fun I was having, dancing and eating and just growing that relationship a little bit deeper through some, meaningful conversations and just having a good time. So it finally feels like maybe the last week and a half, I'm settling into my routine, getting used to my neighbor's cat that comes to visit me every evening, getting used to taking walks in my neighborhood and kind of the comings and goings of what is happening around me. But that also brought with it some silence. for the first time, in these first 2 months, I was in a moment where, there was nothing to do. I wasn't traveling. I wasn't figuring out anything. I wasn't searching for an apartment or running in the streets with friends, but just sitting in some silence and beginning to, carve out my routine for some of the things that I'd like to do during my sabbatical. One of the main things is to complete the draft of a book that I've been writing off and on for a while, and it's finally taking shape. And so, part of that was getting into somewhat of a routine. But with it, with the silence comes, it can come some uneasiness when you have gone from running 100 miles an hour, whether that is, raising children, being very active in community, having a high power, high stressful job. A lot of times there's not a lot of downtime to really be with yourself and be with your thoughts. Um, because you're just going. I remember when I was in, those high points, right, of that former life that I had, that season of life that I had, I was having to fill and find in the cracks and crevices of my life moments to journal, to reflect, to think about myself as a person, as a woman. Those were coming to me, like I said, in the cracks and crevices of time, maybe early in the morning before the household would rise, or, on my long grinding commute that I used to have. When at a point I was taking a commuter bus and, hopefully not having a seatmate or maybe somebody that was not irritating me on my way to or fro, where I could just have a moment or two of peace and quiet and to silence my mind, just to ponder, as Trisha Hersey says, to daydream. Those were, again, in that prior season, those were like stolen moments for me. It was not something that I built in time for. So being on sabbatical, being in this place where now I'm in this silence and able to really connect with myself, to think about my needs and my wants. It's felt like a luxury. And so I just want to quickly go through how I have created a safe space for myself in this silence, because I think to sit with our emotions, to it can be glamorous, right, to think about, oh, what I'll do, I'll just be this and I'll be that. And I'm all about dreaming and visioning, but a lot of times, you really just don't know what is going to come up until you get in those moments. And so rest has been a recurring theme for me as the time leading up to the sabbatical, and as I have kind of settled in to the sabbatical, just recognizing I had no idea how physically tired I was from decades of pushing through, of just like that get her done mentality, just get it done. I was a literal soldier in the US Army for over 10 years, and you just figure out a way to push through the tired, learn routines, learn processes that you can literally do in your sleep, because that is what's required of you. And I carried that through every area of my life. I took on things just because I was able to do it without thinking about my actual capacity. Again, the soldier mindset. I came up in the, be all you can be army, and I was being all I could be in every area of my life at the same doggone time. Whew, I'm just tired thinking about it. So, again, creating a safe place was partially me talking to myself to say that rest is okay. Rest is not something that I have to earn, that I can begin to listen to my body and slow down and lay down, that I can wake up in the morning and decide that I'm going to just get some coffee and lay back down, because that is the level of physical tired down in my bones that I was feeling. And in a silent moment, it's just you against you, or you with you, to give yourself that permission that it is okay to literally do nothing, and lay down. And when I talk about listening to my body, that's been a real struggle for me for many different reasons. Like I said, the push through mentality that dominated the majority of my adult life. Um, some other traumatic things that happened to me where my physical safety was, I was not safe. So that constant going, constant busyness, constant being on alert definitely served me well in a season. And so it can feel very jarring, or it has felt jarring for me to just slow down and to actually connect with my body beyond that survival, fight, or flight instinct, to listen for the other things. Again, the need to rest, um, the joy of just on my patio behind me through my, that door over there are beautiful flowers and other greenery. And sometimes I just sit and watch the bumblebees. Just, I don't even know for how long. I just sit and watch the bumblebees pollinating the flowers. And that is something that's creating safety for me, because that's what I needed that moment, to just take the time and be still and connect with nature in this very small and beautiful way. Um, the second thing, as a former overthinker, and maybe I'm just wired to be an overthinker because I am very curious. That's something I'm learning also, the difference between what has been because of trauma or because of circumstances and what is just me, right? I am a curious person. I enjoy, I'm a nerd. I enjoy documentaries and, researching different things. But with the, busyness and that survival mode, was a lot of overthinking, catastrophizing, holding a lot of different people's circumstances in my mind. I have worked out, 3 or 4 or 5 different scenarios for my sisters, my children, to their problems, to problems they might not even think are problems, but that's how my mind used to work. Um, Holding all these things, not just for myself, but for everyone else in my life. And they weren't even asking me for all that. Why am I doing that? That I did that at work. I worked in human resources, holding a lot of people's, problems, desires, and sitting in this silence and creating space for myself has meant being intentional about mental rest. Like what I have researched mental rest because I need to calm my mind down. And so prioritize my slow mornings. Um, I used to be a Keurig girl. I thought it was the best thing ever to get the coffee faster. And now I have my French press and I just want to do things slower, um, calm my mind down. I am reading more. I've always loved books, but um, even just reading more fiction rather than that kind of learning mode or, reading books around self improvement. I'm improved. I'm not improving anymore. I have enough information for some of these things that I want to do to last me. Again, I think the rest of my lifetime. I don't need to read another self improvement about how to do anything. So I have re engaged a bit of my mind, and it's very restful to just read fiction. Some of it is just nonsense, but it's enjoyable for me. I'm reading, whether it's cozy mysteries or, um, very simple fiction books. That's where it's at for me to have that mental rest that is helping me create safety. I don't need to be gearing up 10 points for this and 12 steps for that. No, no, no. I'm just out here on the beach trying to see what's going to happen with Susie, Sally, and the rest of their friends, at Hunter's Cove, whatever. I don't even know what it is, but that's where it's at for me right now. I don't need 12 points to overcome anything. I done overcame. Now it's time to rest my mind. And that is creating safety for me. And final thing, and I'll wrap up this video. Another thing that I have always done, but it's just become more prominent for me over the last couple of years, and I've brought that into my sabbatical, are affirmations, whether that is, quotes. I have different playlists that, when I need to feel like a baddie, when I need to have a praise break, when I need to do a good dance, I have my music that helps me again connect with my body, free my mind, and it's all about creating that safety for myself. One of the ones I love, and I don't know who was the originator because social media, but it's like a chant. Everything is working out for me. Everything is working out for me. Everything is working out for me, working out for me, working out for me. I say that, I don't know, however many times a day. That is helping to create safety for me in this silence where I'm not being pulled in 29 different directions, where there is nothing that is pulling on me, nor am I choosing to insert myself into other people's lives. I am filling that space with things that feed my soul, that give me a sense of safety to dream a dream about, who I am becoming, who I have always been, and kind of reconciling all that that is within me at this point right now, just reconciling that together. And those affirmations help that come to fruition and create a safe space for me to just dream about possibilities and not try to solve problems or only look for problems, but move to the realm of possibilities. And so, those are some of the things I am doing to feel safe in this silent time where I'm just all on my own in Mexico without, you know, anything but myself and my needs and my desires and my wants coming to the surface. It can be scary, but I think if, anyone who is considering taking a sabbatical is concerned about being lonely or fearful about, um, you know, what is going to pop out of this noggin in the quiet time when we are not so focused on other things, I would say that you can create safety for yourself to be with yourself. And it is okay to prioritize yourself. So don't be scared of, open days. Don't be scared of the fact that maybe you're not needed by others or feeling like that need to be needed. I think that for women, that is a big part of most of our nature. But if I can just impart to you, sis, you need you. So if you worried about being needed, baby, you need you. You need the fullness of your mind, your heart, and your intention on yourself to, map out what is next in this next season, to maybe focus on some healing of things that you just, whether again, physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is, where you've put yourself on the back burner, you need you. So do not be afraid of the silence. I'd love to hear from others, maybe how you have created safety for yourself, how you have navigated the transition from, big, loud, and busy to quiet, soft, and intentional. I'd love to meet you in the comments to hear about how you have, found ways to create that safety for yourself. Until next time, I made it through my first live. Yay! Until next time, this is Danielle, and I am just, again, looking forward to meeting you in the comments. Take care and be well.